words of my mouth, the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen.
I haven't gotten much reading done this week. I'm not sure if it's because the book I'm in hasn't caught my attention yet, or perhaps it's like many of you, the Olympics have just fascinated me a little too much. And I bring up the Olympics because I'm always impressed by these folks, especially figure skaters. Because last week the youth group and I went ice skating, and I did my best imitation of a NASCAR driver, going turning left at a rate of speed that would not land me in the hospital. Tried no triple Salchows, no toe loops, nothing of the sort. And my hip and my ankles still hurt. But as I think about those ice skaters and watch what they're able to do, knowing if I even tried it, I would be in the hospital. But knowing that they are striving for perfection and waiting for the most subjective scoring system on the planet to take hold and show them how they've done it, hoping that some crazy geopolitical system hasn't taken hold, the Latvian judges are looking for revenge, and inevitably you can see a little bit of disappointment because there's rarely tens across the board. There's rarely the score that they're seeking, and yet all of us know, wow, we could not do that if we tried. And then there's today's gospel, Jesus telling us to be perfect. How many of you strive for perfection? How many of you drive yourselves insane striving for perfection? I think that's probably true for most of us. And yet there's that thing that we are called to be perfect. And yet most of us know that that is an impossibility. And that the closer we come, even if we're striving for it, we know that the bar just keeps getting raised a little higher with each striving. So I have to think to myself, what in my life do I strive for in perfection? I'd love to think that this liturgy is going to be perfect today. I know I've been here long enough. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something goofy that keeps it from being perfect. But it might be excellent. It might be our best efforts that day. We can always look in every aspect of our life, our relationships, the work that we do, the way we live out our faith, knowing that we're called to be striving for perfection, and yet knowing we probably will never reach it. And then if I want to say that what Jesus said before it is how we get to be perfect, I'm really now at a loss. I have to let somebody else smack me around. I have to give up everything. If somebody's suing me saying, no problem, I'm not even going to get a lawyer, take whatever you want. I'm going to sit there and say an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, knowing that's going to probably leave me either one eye less or a lot less teeth. Saying there's got to be something else under here that Jesus is pointing me to. Because to be a doormat does not make sense to me. And then it comes the collect. A key four-letter word, love. And maybe there is the perfection that Christ is calling us to. And we see it in Leviticus especially. A place that we don't usually go to in the lectionary, but we did today because one of the most important phrases in the Christian faith comes out of it. We know that when Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, which is, of course, commandment number 1 in the 10. But then he said there's one other one. Did you see it this morning? Love your neighbor as yourself. Quoting Leviticus at the good old Pharisees and scribes and saying, this is actually the key. You can love God, do all the worship you want, do all the good works you want to do. But if it's not flowing out of first your foundation in Jesus Christ, your love for God, love for neighbor, and love for self are always going to be a little out of whack. And actually the key is the loving of self. Not in an egotistical way that says, I'm the greatest thing ever, but in a way that says, I am striving for perfection. I am striving to live out my faith and relationship in Jesus Christ the best that I can. And that enables me, because I have a love for myself that way, I can then love my neighbor. I can then actually truly love God. The seminary professor once said that she didn't want to be loved the same way that her students loved themselves because she deserved better. Think about that. When we look at all that we do, the ways that Yeah, the bar keeps getting raised. The ways that striving for perfection seems like a futile effort at times. And yet deep down inside, we know we want to give our best at all times. We are looking for ways to serve our neighbors as ourselves. This past week with IHN, was it a perfect week? No. The Lord provided a snowstorm in the middle of it. We also know, though, that it was the best effort we could do. And those families had a roof over their heads, hot meals every dinner, and for the most part, we left feeling we had done the best we could. As you look at the week ahead of you, are those places where there are tasks that you need to get done? Can you draw from your faith your best efforts? Can this morning be the place that energizes you to strive for that perfection? That's what I've always seen Sunday morning worship to be about. Where I leave from to go out and do the things God is calling me to do. And each time I look for service towards others, ways of loving my neighbor as myself, I realize that the foundational launching pad for all of it will be my relationship with Christ. And I hope it is the same for you. Amen.